Danemark, 12 points.
Le Danemark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 points. דנמרק, 12 נקודות.
Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points. Danemark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 נקודות.
Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
And that completes the votes of the Belgian jury. Goeie avond, good night.
And finally, Denmark, 12 points.
Sverige och Danmark 10 och 12 poäng.
12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
Spanien, Irland, Danmark 34 poäng.
Denmark, 12 points.
Ny 12 för Danmark.
Denmark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
And that desiree completes the points of the United Kingdom jury. From London, if I may reply in your own language, we wish you good night. Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points.
Zwaargehalten activiteiten in Joegoslaven, die Noorwegen, die Luxemburg.
And Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12
Österreich,
points.
Österreich.
Denmark,
Das erste Land, das uns keine Punkte gibt.
The points to the Austrian jury. Denmark,
Nein.
12 points.
Denmark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
133 zu 119, 14 Punkte Differenz. Ja, das wird schwierig werden.
Bonsoir.
Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
And Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
And that completes the points of the Swedish jury. Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points. 12 points pour le Danemark.
And that completes the votes of the Finnish jury. Thank you, and good night from Helsinki.
Thank you, Helsinki, and good night, good evening.
Nous allons maintenant...
And finally, Denmark, 12 points.
So Norway,
12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
Norway gives it to Denmark.
And that concludes the voting of the Norwegian jury.
Bye-bye, lady.
And finally, Denmark.
And Denmark gets the 12 marks.
Denmark, 12 points. Denmark, 12 points.
And that's all from the Swedish jury, Slan Live Dublin.
And finally, Denmark, 12 points.
And Denmark,
That's
12
as the night
points.
follows the day,
Denmark,
Iceland will give
12
Denmark 12
points.
points and vice versa.
And that completes the Icelandic
Good job
vote.
on us.
And finally, 12 points from Israel goes to Denmark.
I've had a feeling about Denmark all night.
That
There we
completes
are.
the results of the Israeli vote.
And finally, Denmark, 12 points.
I thought so. I thought you'd like that.
And those are the results.
Long way to
of
go
the United
yet.
Kingdom. A very good night to you from London.
Who are they giving the 12
And
to?
12 points go to Denmark.
Denmark gets the 12 points.
Well, that's fair enough. Will Denmark give 12 points to Russia just to sort of even it up?
And finally, Denmark, 12 points. And Denmark.
Will Denmark reciprocate with 12 points to Iceland? They do every year. Still.
Denmark, 12 points. And Denmark gets 12 points.
This is putting them out of sight. They can still theoretically be caught, but I think
And 12 points to our neighbor, Denmark.
Denmark, and they don't like each other much, the Swedes and the Danes.
And finally, we give our 12 points to Denmark.
You've done it now.
Denmark, 12 points.
I think that's it, lads.
And finally, Denmark, 12 points.
And Denmark, 12 points. Le Danemark,
Wrap it up.
And listen now, and listen good.
Guess what? There's a surprise. They've only given 12 points to Denmark for the last 25 years.
And finally, Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points.
Le Danemark, 12 points.
Well, that pleased nobody in the hall.
Wonderful Copenhagen.
And finally, Denmark, 12 points.
Denmark, 12 points. Le Danemark, 12 points.
Back in the race.
That's all, folks. See you next year. Bye.
12 points to Denmark.
Too true.
And it's Denmark with 12 points. Denmark.
And finally, 12 points, 12 points, to Denmark.
Denmark, 12 points. Le Danemark, 12 points.
And 12 points go to Denmark.
Hey! Have they shot themselves in the foot? Have they shot themselves in the foot? Don't forget, Denmark have to vote yet, so they...
And finally, our 12 points go to Denmark.
Denmark, 12 points.
Thank you.
Let's keep it in the club, lads. Congratulations.
And finally, the 12 points
Denmark
go to Denmark.
La Danemark, 12
I don't know.
points.
A lucky guess, I suppose.
Thank you, Brinian.
Now we are going. And finally, the 12 points goes to Denmark.
La Danemark, 12 points. Didn't give Sweden anything.
Thank you very
They'll
much.
be holy murder over that.
And finally, 12 points go to Denmark.
12 points pour le Danemark. Montremes.
12 points there to Sinead and Nevergreen. And his guitar.
And finally, 12 points for Denmark.
Et 12 points pour le Danemark. Thank you very much.
Well, we've all been saying it was unlikely there was going to be a runaway winner this year.
And finally, 12 points from Poland for Denmark.
12 points pour le
Sinead
Danemark.
and Nevergreen. Interesting voting from Poland, not the way they normally vote. Nothing for Russia there.
And finally, 12 points go to lovely Denmark.
Ah.
Congratulations to all of you and have a good
12
night.
points pour le Danemark.
Slovenia often vote for
Thank
Denmark.
you.
They got 8 points last year. The big 12 this year.
And finally, our 12 points go to our friends in Denmark.
12 points pour le Danemark. Tack ska ni
Now they
ha.
are close, those countries, but that's not...
And our 12 points, our 12 points, go to Denmark.
Le Danemark.
A friend in London. It's got a small connection to us. The word London's in the title.
And finally, our 12
Denmark.
points go to Denmark.
Denmark! I'm getting good at this.
12
I'm like a
points.
psychic here by the box.
And Hildur.
Good song. Right. C'est ma vie.
And finally, 12 points to Denmark.
Le Danemark. 12 points.
Nice choice,
Thank you,
Ireland.
Derek.
And he's even got lipstick on his collar.
And 12 points from the UK go to
Romania.
Denmark.
Oh! They went with the biggest favours.
12 points.
So that's put Denmark joint
Thank you,
lead.
Scott. 12 points to Denmark this time.
And finally, our 12 points go to Denmark.
Le Danemark, 12 points.
Now, based on how the juries vote.
And now, 12 points from Italy going to Denmark.
Le Danemark, 12 points. Thank you, Federica.
Well, everyone said it would do. Denmark or Sweden should get the big points. Oh no, they've already given to Sweden, so Denmark.
And finally,
12.
our 12 points go to Denmark. Le Danemark, 12
Increasing
points.
that lead.
12 points to Denmark, but Norway did get 10 points this time.
Et enfin, le meilleur pour la fin, en quelque sorte, nos 12 points sont pour le Danemark.
Ah, Denmark. 12 points.
It might all be over now.
And there we have some happy Danes.
And finally, our 12 points go to Denmark.
Le Danemark, 12 points.
Almost a duplicate of the UK votes there, except we only...
And our glittering 12 points, brighter than the lights of London or the lights of Copenhagen, go to Denmark.
Le Danemark.
Congratulations to everyone.
12 points. Encore une fois. Ah, ils sont bien contents.
And finally, our 12 points from Macedonia go to Denmark.
Le Danemark. 12
So that's
points.
it. Denmark have won.
And our 12 points go to Denmark.
Denmark 12 points, Denmark 12 points.